Thank you for the introduction. It's a huge honor to be here. Parang kailan lang, I could remember when I was also in these halls taking up my graduation. It's a big honor to be invited here and recognized. I want to acknowledge Brother Benjie, University President, Mr. Nestor Tan, Chair Board of Trustees, Dr. Robert Ruleda, Provost, Mr. Ramon Trajano, Senior VP, distinguished Lasallian administrators, faculty members, parents, guests, and the stars of tonight, the graduates of 2023. When I assumed the position as CEO for Unilever Philippines, someone requested to write an article about me. And the title of that article at the time was This Boy from Tondo. A boy from Tondo who never had a car, sanay sumapit sa jeepney nun along Lasal Taf, coming from Divisoria. Never got the chance to ride a plane because we couldn't afford back then. Who lived in a one-bedroom apartment in a family of 5 in Divisoria. But despite all those humble beginnings, it was never a distraction or constraint to achieve a good future for me. But these were not my achievements. These were achievements that I achieved because of people that helped me along the way. But I do want to share some life lessons that allowed me to be where I am today, without whom I would not be standing here in front of you, would not be the leader of a company like Unilever, and would not be a proud graduate of LaSalle back in 1994 industrial engineering. The first lesson I realized is that education is the #1 equalizer. It does not matter what your background is or was. It does not matter what history you have. As long as you have the right education, and more importantly, the right values taught by the institution, you have a chance to be successful in life. Especially the values taught by LaSalle of faith, service, and communion. And back then, during our time, Religio Mores Cultura, that was an important foundation, not just of the intellectual learning that we got from LaSalle, but the values that was instilled in us back when we were still studying. Now, the second life lesson I want to share is a story that when people ask me, what was your best experience when you were working in Unilever? And I would always share this story. Back in 2001, we were #1 in many categories like shampoo, deodorants, ice cream, many other categories, but not in laundry. Back then, we were the #3 or 4 player in laundry in 2001. And we decided that we want to make a big play in laundry. Upgrade the people who were using the humble bareta or NSD bars into powders that were affordable. And it was important, therefore, that we provide a product that the Filipinos would love, upgrade from using very manual baretas into using powders. And we decided that we were going to launch Surf back in 2001. At the time, the task was clear. In supply chain, we needed to produce 10 million pieces of sachets to pipeline the product across Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. That was the brief, and that was the objective. And so back then, there was a third-party manufacturer that we put up in Cabuyao, Laguna, quite a distance from our home factory in UN Avenue, Manila, because it was a confidential project. We commissioned the third party, and they hired locals in Cabuyao, Laguna to put up the factory. So 6 weeks was given to produce the 10 million pieces. 6 weeks, a very clear objective. On the first week, after putting up this new factory with new machines, new equipment, new people, guess how much was produced after the first week of that 10 million objective? 0. The machines were breaking down, the quality was not consistent, we had to reject what was produced because it was not up to par from what we expected. And so at the time, the company decided to throw more people in, put in more R&D managers, more factory managers, more engineering managers, more QA managers, so that we can get the thing right. At the end of the second week, in the 6-week objective, guess how much was produced? 0. We were not able to sort out the problems that were faced in the first week. The machines were still breaking down, the quality was still off, the people were still confused. At the time, the head of supply chain approached me. And I remember I was 25, 26 years old back then, and requested if I could take over operations of that factory. I wasn't so sure I was going to say yes because the challenge was too big. There was only 4 weeks left to produce the same 10 million pieces that was the objective of the project. And so before I said yes, I said, can I at least go to the factory and speak to the people that are running the lines? Not the managers who were there, but the actual people on the line. And so I went there, spoke to them, and asked what's wrong. And from my interviews, they said, you know, we're a bit confused. There were too many managers giving us different directions. We were not sure what to do. We didn't have the right skills to run some of the machines, and therefore we don't have the right profile of people, and all different things. At the time, I felt that the challenge was doable actually, because the problem was not about the structure of the machine, but the capability and the belief and the trust that we had to give the people. So I went back to my head of supply chain back then and said, I will take on the challenge with the condition that we pull out everyone else, the managers that we put in there to run the show, because we were confusing the people in the factory. And so when all the managers were gone, I huddled the team together, and there was like 180 of them running the 24-hour shift, and we had 4 weeks to go. And I said, what used to be a 6-week objective is now down to 4 weeks. And you are the heroes who will help make it happen. Can you tell me what help do you need to help deliver the objective? And what they asked for humbled me. They said, you know, there aren't enough water coolers around. Can we put up some water stations? I said, yes, done. You know, the quality of the masks that we have are not as good as it should be. Maalikabok. Can we get better quality masks? I said, yes, we'll provide them. I said, you know, there's no locker rooms for our clothes when we have to change. Can we have some lockers or some place to hold our bags that is safe? I was humbled because these were the most basic of requests that we failed to give and deliver back then. And yet we were demanding the world of them to produce 10 million pieces. And so we provide all of those. On the first week, on the third week, there was the first 2 weeks nothing was done. On the third week, out of the 10 million that was needed, guess how much was produced? 1.2 million. Not enough, but it was a big improvement from the zero before. On the second week, how many were produced? 2.5 million, 3.7 total. Not yet halfway there, but the momentum was there. The people were believing in themselves. They were running the factory without any managers because the instructions were clear and the quality standards were clear and they understood. On the third week, when we were feeling good about ourselves, and I recall this vividly when I was in my room, the phone rang at 3 o'clock in the morning and said, someone called me up and said, sir, you have to come over to the factory. We had an accident. Someone fell from the second floor accidentally. So I remember rushing there on the third week. I remember rushing there on the fifth week. And when I got there, I was relieved that the employee was rushed to the hospital right away. Miraculously, he was safe. But I was surprised that the factory was still running. I asked the factory to stop. And I was back then 26 years old. And I said, why are we still running? And they said, didn't we say that this was the most important launch for the company this year? We want to go from number 3 to number 1 in laundry. And I remember saying that there are some things more important than business success. The respect for human life, the respect for our colleagues, and the prioritization for safety. We stopped the factory back then and visited our colleague in the hospital. Relieved that he was safe, relieved that he was talking to us, and relieved that nothing worse, much worse could have happened, but relieved that that didn't happen. When we went back to the factory, I huddled the team and asked them, do you want to keep on running? And they said, is that even an option? I said, for something this traumatic, it would be irresponsible to force everyone to keep on working without having the time to reflect and having the time to breathe and support our colleague. After a few minutes, they huddled and came back and said, sir, we want to keep on running. This means more to us. And so we went on. On that end of that 5th week, our colleague visited the site from the hospital, there to cheer for us. And out of the 10 million that was needed, we produced 7.5 million already. We were in a good momentum. But someone approached me and said, sir, you actually gave us the choice to stop the line, and we are mere factory workers. And you gave us the option to stop the line for a project as big as this. Why did you even give us that choice? And at the time, I remember saying, this has to be your choice. This has to be how you define success. Because one lesson I wanted to share was that success is defined by you, not by what people impose on you. So, on the 6th week, on Friday at 2 p.m., I remember a commotion on the factory site when I was on the 2nd floor production office. And I was wondering what all the commotion was about. I went down, people were jumping and cheering, and I still don't know what the commotion was about. And someone came to me and showed me one pack of sachet and said, sir, our 10th million piece, we're able to deliver it together. Until now, that's a memory that stays vividly in my mind. There is no success as good as winning together as a team. At the same time, there's no success that can be achieved without trust and respect for the colleagues that you work with. As you get on to the next stage of your life, whether that's corporate or government or NGO or business, I hope that one story will remind you that 10 million piece when you will have your moment. It's all about respecting and trusting others to deliver what they can do. The third thing I want to share as part of my life lesson is just about gratitude. That 10 million piece story is a gratitude I have from the people who helped me succeed and helped the business succeed. And by the way, ever since we launched surf powder back then in 2001, and until today, more than 20 years later, surf has been the #1 brand in the country. Now, I talked about gratitude for those colleagues who have helped us deliver that success and helping us to become #1 in business today. And actually a bigger gratitude for that experience, a shared life lesson where we believe that respect for people's dignity was bigger than the business success we were going for. But I think you also have your own gratitude to reflect on, your own challenges to get you to where you are today, graduates of DLSU University. Many believed in you, or believed in me back then, and now believed in you even before you deserve it. When I was much younger, my parents ingrained in me that despite our humble beginnings, education will be the equalizer, and we will be on equal footing when we graduate. I owe them my success, if not for what they instilled in me back then. When I got to work in Unilever, actually my wife Karen, who's here, was already a manager in Anderson Consulting back then and Accenture now. But even then, when we had kids, she gave up her career and managerial position, an office in Florida and Atlanta, to be able to support my career and our family. I would not be here without her today. And she's here, by the way, with me here. My kids, Martina and Dylan, who's not here with me today, but they were uprooted multiple times when I had to travel across and work elsewhere. and they sacrificed when they didn't have that much choice. And again, I would not be here without them today. But now I think it's your chance to reflect on who sacrificed and believed in you even before you deserve to be trusted. And I think these are the people behind us that are sitting here today cheering you on. And if you can indulge me, I'd like to request if you could all stand up today, the graduates of 2023. You could all stand up. And if you could look behind you for all your supporters. And give them the biggest applause you've ever given. Thank you. Your success today, or my success today, are a product of people who believe in us, people who sacrifice for us, and people who are cheering us on, even if it means going away from them, being further from them, because that's just how much they love us. I hope that as you leave these halls today, you will find your own story, your own 10 million piece that can define for you what success means for you. Never let anyone define for you what success is. Only you know what makes you happy, and only you know what makes you fulfilled. This 10 million piece story, whatever that will be your version for you, is a winning feeling like no other. Couple this with the gratitude and love that you get from the people all around here, people at the back who cheered for you. That is what will define happiness for you. I wish you all the best. I wish you will have your own 10 million piece life experience and life lesson. And I can only cheer for you and be inspired by the future that the Philippines have for the graduates of 2023. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Yang.